You know how they have like tables. We were gonna go take them around campus.
Oh, it's getting darker.
That sounds bad.
No. It feels so nice in here.
I know, right?
All right, good afternoon. All right, great. Every time. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Hey, you should have the guide out in front of you. We should be able to finish that today. Just a quick reminder that the formal questions that are very obviously and clearly formed, those are going with the video clips, and we do have a couple more that we will watch today. And then, the class notes section, which are both on the back side, that's where we should be putting stuff that I'm talking about. Our rule of thumb from yesterday is if Klein puts it on the board, it needs to go into the notes. Let's take a second and just remember where we left off. I had said yesterday that sort of the argument moving forward is that the reason why the United States is going to lose in this conflict is because we are getting into a situation that we don't understand and in a land that we don't understand. And that's not a combination for success. So to understand that, I had said we had to dig way back. We went all the way back to the 7th century, talking about China taking over in Vietnam. And I had a list up here of one after another for about 1,300 years. Vietnam is going to be controlled by one group after another. And then we got to a point towards the end of class where it's the mid-1800s, and which European country has moved in and established Vietnam as a colony? France. And they're going to be there until the end of the 1930s. And what happens then? World War II, and as somebody said in this class, France gets spanked. All right, that's become like, I'm not sure I love it, but it's kind of become the way of thinking of it. They do. They get absolutely, just embarrassed by the Germans and are out of the picture for a couple of years. Vietnam, however, does not get the opportunity to become free because which other country then? Japan. Until boom 1 and boom 2 eliminates Japan, and now we get to 1945, and Vietnam is finally, it would seem, free. But right at the end of class, who has shown up to try to grab Vietnam again? France again. And what we finished class with yesterday was that the French have shown up, but now they've run into a Vietnamese people that are unafraid of the French. They are not intimidated by them any longer. All right? They don't see why they should be scared of them. They were just embarrassed in World War II. They're a beatable group. Beyond that, there are Vietnamese who are actively prepared to fight against them. We talked about the Viet Minh yesterday. These are communist soldiers in Vietnam, especially northern Vietnam, who are led by this guy, Ho Chi Minh, who we'll learn more about today. And that's kind of where we left things, is that the French are trying to make some sort of headway in Vietnam, but they're running into a lot of these problems. At this point, we should be through letters A, B, and C with regards to the questions, right? So let's pick up then with 1945. And Sarah, hey, on the second screen, just click one time for me. I want to bring our map back up here real quick. All right, so the French are coming in. You've got Ho Chi Minh and the Viet Minh up here. This is communist territory now. Southern Vietnam, that's generally pro-French. Right? So that's who's fighting in these battles. There are members of Ho Chi Minh's group that are down here now that are fighting. There are members of the French army that have moved up here. This is going to be an embarrassing time for the French. In fact, if you can remember that clip that we saw at the end of class yesterday, that French soldier who said, this is going so badly, there's a lot of us who wish we could just get out of here. That the French would just go away, go back to France, and we could get ourselves out of here. That fight is going to culminate in a battle known as the Battle of Bien. I'm going to get a little Vietnamese here. But this is a battle that you absolutely need to know. Dien Bien Phu is the battle. Dien Bien Phu is a city, a Vietnamese city, in which the French have built a fort. All right, and that fort is located right about here. The French own it. Ho Chi Minh sends a well-planned attack at that fort. And, it's not just a loss by the French. This is a rout. It's a bloody loss by the French. And this is sort of the end of the straw of about 9 years of fighting in what is commonly referred to as, and this is what you see it called in Vietnam, the First Indochina War. Why do you think the Vietnamese refer to this as the First Indochina War? What's the second? Yeah, us. The war with us, right? So First Indochina War is the Viet Minh versus the French. The second will be Vietnam versus the United States, right? So Dien Bien Phu is a loss, and now the French they just want out of there in whatever way they can. And so what we're going to see happen here, this is where we're going to get to our next clip, is that Ho Chi Minh and the French are going to sit down to try to negotiate some sort of way for this to peacefully end. Right? China's going to be there. Russia's going to be there. They need a neutral place for this to happen, and they decide to pick Geneva, Switzerland. Okay? So letter D is what is going to be answered in this next clip. North Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, are going to sit down with the French. They're going to negotiate an agreement, but as you can see in letter D, neither group is happy. Ho Chi Minh is unhappy. The French are unhappy. As you watch the clip, I want you to tell me why. Why are they both unhappy with how this war is going to end? We know what's going on here. The biggest thing here in that newsreel, that was designed for Americans to see. And some of the images that you saw, the makeshift rafts that these people were fleeing on, the children, especially the Vietnamese children who were crossing themselves in the Catholic tradition. All right, so Americans are meant to see that, and what we're trying to do here is to get Americans prepared for the fact that we're going to be over there fighting. When you get into letter F, what seemed to be the biggest fear that many Vietnamese had, as expressed in that clip? Persecution. That's a key word there. That's a word that is generally used for some sort of action being taken against a religion. All right, not everybody. I think when people think of Southeast Asia, they picture the Buddhist monks that have shaved their heads. And to be sure, Buddhism is extremely prevalent in Southeast Asia, but so is Catholicism, and for that matter, so is Islam. All right, there are a lot of Catholics living in Vietnam, even still to this day. And they were very concerned that they would become targeted by Ho Chi Minh's group, and so they fled. Did you catch the number? How many Vietnamese fled the north? 900,000 Vietnamese wanted to get out of there and move to what they thought would be safety in the south. Right? So this takes us up to 1960. All right? That map shows us what Vietnam looks like in 1960. Now, 1960 is a game-changing year, especially in the United States. We have a new president who just got elected, JFK. He's a young guy. He's a World War II veteran. He is pretty staunchly anti-communist. Remember, this guy fought in World War II against people like Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, dictators who tried to take over their countries. And so when Kennedy comes in and he sees this guy, Ho Chi Minh, he feels like he sees yet another in a line of dictators. Right? So this is where things start to change, and now we're getting into the American involvement in Vietnam. So what we're going to do next, I want to show you, we have two more clips that we'll watch today. The first of those is focused in on Kennedy and where his mindset as he starts to decide if he should send American troops to Vietnam. The only thing that you have to do here is watch. There are no questions to this first clip, but I do expect your heads to be up. All right, if you got your head laying on the table, you're going to have to lift your head up. I want to make sure that we're awake for this, because this is the beginning of American involvement here.